What if R2-D2 and C-3PO saved Anakin on Mustafar? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. R2-D2 and C-3PO move down the fiery slopes of the Mustafar landscape, their metallic feet skidding and stumbling on the rocky surface. After her encounter with Obi-Wan, Padme had managed to crawl back to her ship, urging them to find him.
Oh my stars, we are too late. Master Annie will never survive the journey back to the ship in this condition. What do you mean the ship is leaving?
As if on cue, they see a vessel rising from the station that they were just on earlier. It was the same Naboo ship that Padme brought. Unfortunately, Obi-Wan did not know that the droids were on board, and departed without them.
This is terrible. We're stranded. Whatever shall we do? What will happen to Master Annie? What will happen to us? Of course now is the time to panic. We have no ship, and Master Annie's in critical condition. Wait, did you say you detected a facility nearby? Oh, thank the Maker. I knew bringing you here was a great idea. All right then, lead the way.
Slinging Anakin's arm over his shoulder, C-3PO begins to carry him away from the lava river, while R2-D2 rolls on ahead to guide the way. However, as they glance at the structure, they can't help but feel a sense of relief. R2 suspects that it was a droid facility left here by the CIS, but right now it may be their best chance at survival. To their surprise, they see movement atop the walls. Despite the shutdown order being activated, these droids move purposefully, though they don't match the design of any CIS droids. As they approach the facility, an optic eye emerges from the doorway and scans them, asking them to state their name and business, or be destroyed.
I am C-3PO, and this is my companion, R2-D2. We have come here in search of shelter and medical attention for our master. As you can see, he is gravely wounded and will not survive. Oh, hush, R2. I don't think mentioning he's a fallen Jedi will win us any favors. Please ignore my friend. As you can see, he has a few circuits loose. He doesn't mean any of it.
Yet it seems like the figure inside is indeed intrigued, as the doors soon open, and a pair of HK-50 assassin droids emerge and escort the group inside the factory. Anakin is placed in a Bacta tank, while a medical droid treats his wounds. In the meantime, the two droids are cleaned and repaired, being made presentable for their master, HK-47, who wishes to know their story. He manages to coax the story out of them, learning that Anakin was a fallen Jedi and how he came here to bring peace by slaying the insurgent CIS council. This also ended with a duel with his former master that led to his injuries. Naturally, HK-47 was quite amused by this ordeal. More importantly, he takes a keen interest in this Anakin Skywalker upon hearing his story and how he has fallen to the Sith and casually slaughtered an entire council of foes. The last meatbag to show such efficiency was his former master, Darth Revan. HK-47 agrees to help them and lets them stay. But while they agree, R2 cannot remain for long. He wishes first to learn the fate of Padme. He is allowed to take one of the fighters, leaving his two companions there. HK-47 begins work to help Anakin. Unfortunately, his flesh is too badly damaged, and he must replace much of his body with cybernetics. He begins to add robotic limbs, but also includes new attachments that can make Anakin a better killer. Built-in blasters, a jetpack, and other weapons can help him deal with foes. The droid takes great amusement in his pet project. Even after Anakin wakes up, there's no pain, no warmth, only emptiness. Then, suddenly, sensation slams into him like a shockwave. His eyes open, his breath comes in ragged gasps, while his ears fill with the sound of machinery. He tries to move, but his body feels wrong, heavy, unnatural.
Statement. You awaken. At last, Master. Or should I say, rebuilt meatbag 2.0.
What have you done to me?
Observation. I saved your miserable organic existence from certain doom, and took the liberty of making some improvements. Consider it an upgrade. Statement. I must say your efficiency in slaughtering the Separatist leadership was most admirable. Almost Revan-like. Such nostalgia. Now tell me, meatbag, what are your plans?
Anakin explains slowly, a thought probing into his mind. A vague memory of his desire. First, to overthrow Palpatine, and then to make his wife Empress so they may rule the galaxy together and make it right. But those pleasant thoughts soon turn bitter as he recalls what happened. It was Obi-Wan who stopped his plans from coming to fruition. Now the Republic is gone, and Palpatine rules the galaxy, but perhaps his reign will be short-lived.
You saved me. Gave me a second chance. I have no loyalty to the Empire, no allegiance to anyone. If I am to survive, I need allies.
Statement. I do find you amusing, Master. Most organics in your position would be sobbing about their lost limbs or whining about their failures. But you adapt and choose violence. I approve.
Then let us tear down anyone who gets in our way.
Declaration. Oh, this will be fun.
Unfortunately, the excitement is short-lived, as R2 soon returns from his mission. But this information is far from pleasant. He reports that Padme unfortunately passed away after giving birth to their children, and Obi-Wan and the children have disappeared into the galaxy, with no leads where. Rather than let this news destroy him, though, Anakin takes this as a sign from the Force. There is truly nothing left for him, save for conquering the galaxy. Palpatine is all that matters now. With that, he and HK-47 begin drawing up plans. They have resources in this facility, but decide against creating a droid army to rebel. The experiences of the CIS are enough to prove the foolishness of that plan. Instead, they must act more mobile, while still hitting hard. Secrecy will be their strength. Instead, they focus their efforts on becoming a power in the underworld, similar to Maul, but better and more efficient. The droids that HK-47 has built instead become assassin droids, carrying out brutal attacks across the galaxy. Anakin helps create this new generation of droids, upgrading them with new parts. Despite his upgrades, he spends most of his time in the factory, surrounded by machines. He tinkers with the droids, uploading data of his experiences to make them deadlier, upgrading their capabilities, and modifying them to counter different threats. It soon becomes the one place where Anakin can feel some semblance of peace, all to serve his ultimate goal. The Empire is still far from established, and unrest remains an issue across many areas. Anakin exploits this chaos to kill the Empire in its cradle. He uses the knowledge of the former Republic, knowing which senators are corrupt, malleable. Meanwhile, HK-47 is a master of assassination, using the data stored in R2-D2 to find all the hidden bases and facilities that can cause the most damage. As the dust begins to settle from the Clone Wars, another threat emerges: assassin droids. Dozens of Imperial officers and government officials fall to their vibroblades and blasters, many in contested areas where the Empire's control is shaky at best. Others have their garrisons attacked and facilities sabotaged. Sometimes the areas they attack are not even particularly important. For many, it seems as though the Clone Wars never truly ended, as these droids become a terror to the Empire, making them seem less able to protect their citizens and stir the fires of rebellion. All the while, Anakin has these droids gather information, trying to learn more about what Palpatine plans, and perhaps, secretly, he wishes to learn where Obi-Wan is. Unfortunately, both of these things are difficult to come by, as the Empire is still quite secretive about its plans, leaving them only able to sow chaos wherever they go. Meanwhile, his two other droid companions assist Anakin in this effort. While Anakin and the droids are dealing with assassinations and fighting the Empire, R2 handles the information gathering. From time to time, he will accompany assassin droids on missions, hacking into databanks and stealing information. He searches for information on new Imperial installations, high-ranking officers, or data that gives clues to Palpatine's plans. Meanwhile, C-3PO becomes their faction's unofficial ambassador to other organizations. His disarming nature and knowledge of different languages and cultures makes him ideal for negotiating with different groups in the underworld, or other rebel factions. Their greatest contribution, though, is their ability to grow their faction. While the assassin droids specialize in combat, these two can gather allies by contacting, reprogramming, or convincing other droids to join them. Protocol, Servant, and Mouse droids are among the many who serve this new network of spies and informants. Instead of using them in battle, they find a subtle, more effective use for them. For Anakin, this amuses him greatly, and he gladly takes all the data they feed him to use to further upgrade his droids. Both of them serve Anakin dutifully for many years, further growing his organization, which now goes by the name Order of the Fallen Crusaders. While they continue to serve Anakin, both also grow concerned at his dedication to his mission, overshadowing everything else. While HK-47 has been a loyal ally, their focus has shifted solely to just death and destruction, as they forgot everything else they were fighting for. However, these two droids have not forgotten about their lives before the Empire. They still recall Padme, Obi-Wan, and the Republic. Both long for the days of fighting for good instead of vengeance, and both work to bring those days back. While they serve the Order, they also use their roles to look for a new way. R2 searches for any information about Obi-Wan or Padme's kids, while C-3PO inquires about information during negotiations. In the meantime, though, R2 continues to gather intelligence on the Empire and detects an unusual pattern. Large numbers of ships and supplies are being routed to a fairly isolated sector in the galaxy, one without large population centers, unique resources, or strategic value. Anakin notices this too, and recalls how Palpatine had mentioned his plans for great projects that can reshape the galaxy when he was trying to turn Anakin. He thinks that this might be one of them, and decides to lead the attack personally. Soon enough, the group organizes itself and takes a modified infiltration ship to these coordinates. When they drop out of hyperspace, their eyes widen to the sight before them. What should be space plays host to a massive orbital yard floating around a nameless barren planet. Here they see ships circling the massive forge, creating and welding massive sheets of durasteel like armor plating, yet there is enough of it to outfit an entire fleet. This facility is a hive of Imperial activity. HK-47 watches from the co-pilot's seat, his photoreceptors flickering with amusement.
Observation. Oh my, Master. It appears our dear Sith Lord has been quite busy. What a shame it would be if something happened to all these delicate little supply lines.
Anakin says nothing, scanning the structure. Star destroyers hang in the distance, patrolling the sector, but the facility itself is only lightly defended. Not surprising. This system has no major trade routes and no notable inhabitants. No reason for anyone to look too closely. Except he has. R2-D2 beeps, projecting data onto the holodisplay. The numbers confirm it. This station is manufacturing hypermatter reactors, armor plating, and power regulators. Pieces of something far greater. Palpatine's great project.
Excited declaration. I do love a good high-casualty explosion.
R2, you'll slice into their network. Get me everything. Shipment logs, schematics, any clue about what this project is.
R2 beeps in acknowledgement. Anakin guides the ship toward the station's underbelly. Their approach is silent, undetected. As they near a hangar bay, Anakin reaches out with the Force, gripping the minds of those troopers inside. He clouds their thoughts, making them see nothing but an empty docking log. As they touch down, the station soon comes alive with blaster fire. A full platoon of assassin droids fan out, blasting the guards aside and making their way forward. In seconds, all the hangar guards are down, leaving the droids to hurry through the facility. They move like wraiths, securing choke points, capturing vital positions, and setting traps for stormtroopers. Anakin leads these efforts, taking a squad down to the control center accompanied by R2. Meanwhile, HK-47 takes most of the droids to create a distraction as he heads towards the reactor. The bridge crew is shocked to see Anakin making his way in, deflecting the first volley of blaster fire before firing his wrist gauntlet and taking it down before cutting apart the survivors with his lightsaber. R2 rolls off, plugging into a terminal. Within seconds, he's flooding the station with false alarms, setting maintenance crews and security teams running in the wrong direction.
All right, R2. Help me take down these stabilizers. What do you mean there's no more data to take? All right. Sure, you handle that, and I'll take down the stabilizers.
He begins to work on the controls of the station, altering the codes on the stabilizers and intentionally miscalculating them to make them lose efficiency. But before he keys it in, the alarms wail.
They've realized we're here.
Mock sympathy. Oh dear, I do hope they send something more entertaining than stormtroopers.
As if on cue, the pressure in the air shifts. A cold presence washes over them. The doors at the end of the corridor slide open. Two black-robed figures step inside, and red lightsabers ignite. The assassin droids open fire at them, but the figures crush them with the Force. Inquisitors. Anakin smiles and readies his weapon, as he glances at R2, who's still busy working. He then raises his other hand and unleashes a burst of flame as his jetpack propels him towards them. The two Inquisitors swing their weapons at him, trying to cut him down, but he slides underneath their attacks and sweeps his flamethrower, forcing them to scatter as he rushes in, firing his blaster. The first Inquisitor blocks his attack, but Anakin leaps up and swings his lightsaber. He barely parries this attack as Anakin advances on him. His movements are strong and aggressive, putting the Inquisitor on the defensive. The few counterstrokes he does manage to strike are easily checked. Anakin catches one strike and pushes it down before stabbing his lightsaber forward against the Inquisitor's cheek. He curses and slashes yet again, trying to move forward, but Anakin sidesteps this attack, and he twists aside this time. Seeing an opening, the second Inquisitor throws an overhead strike, but Anakin catches it and then uses his free arm. The pistons in his robotic arm snap forward and throw his opponent against the wall with a sickening crunch. The second Inquisitor suddenly seems less certain about his chances and hesitates, but then he rushes forward and throws a set of quick, sweeping attacks. They thrust and twist, using both ends of his blade against Anakin, who has to defend against both blades. But while it keeps his lightsaber occupied, he instead counters with his body. Raising one metallic foot, he slams it down with a bone-crushing force that sends the Inquisitor to his knees and barely blocks Anakin's killing strike. In desperation, the Inquisitor uses his lightsaber to fly away, but Anakin activates his grapple gauntlet and hooks his foot down. The Inquisitor's eyes widen as he's yanked back right into Anakin's lightsaber. With them down, Anakin returns to the control console and finishes typing the command codes. Suddenly, the entire station begins to shake and shudder. Anakin is nearly knocked over as the station loses balance and begins to descend onto the surface. Fast.
Let's get out of here, R2.
The two of them rush off, hurrying back to their ship. Anakin is about to send a signal to HK-47 to join them, but an explosion cuts them off. From a nearby bulkhead, the droid is already rushing towards them with his unit.
Statement. Ah, Master. I'm pleased to see you have survived. It would be regrettable if you fell to such inferior foes.
Glad to see you too. Now let's get out of here.
They hurry back to the ship and board the way they came, watching as the station descends onto the surface. As it falls, the station begins to catch fire and break to pieces, turning into a ball of fire that descends onto the surface. This victory is huge for the Order, as not only did they destroy a major Imperial facility and set back Palpatine by months at the very least, but they also gained valuable intel on these Imperial plans. These parts were intended for a single battle station, the Death Star. The station was intended to be the Empire's newest superweapon, capable of destroying an entire planet. The news is a huge revelation to Anakin and his Order, as they realize how dangerous the situation is. With this information, R2 and C-3PO urge Anakin to reveal it to the galaxy to gather new allies. Many places would hate for such a weapon to be built, and this can allow them to get much-needed resources like supplies, ships, and weapons. However, Anakin refuses this. As far as he's concerned, he wants nothing more to do with the galaxy. Unfortunately, he doesn't get much of a choice, as after their great victory, Palpatine responds with a brutal attack. All places with a fallen Crusader presence are now placed on high alert, with Inquisitors, Purge Troopers, and elite units stationed there. Entire towns are reduced to ash in hopes of destroying one of these droids. More importantly, better practices are enacted to ensure that nothing like this incident is repeated, making the assassin droids far less useful. Although the Order of Fallen Crusaders remains dangerous, they begin to lose more droids than they can produce. As Anakin considers this, R2-D2 beeps insistently, breaking the silence while C-3PO steps forward.
Master Annie, surely you see what's happening. You may not care about the galaxy, but the Emperor will not rest until he finds you. You must seek allies. I dare to say it, but the best chance we have is General Kenobi.
Kenobi is the reason I'm here. He left me for dead, and you want me to go crawling back to him?
Mocking statement. Ah, Master, I do enjoy a good personal vendetta, but I must admit, aligning with other groups would be efficient.
You act as if they care for us, but they abandoned us. Abandoned me. What will stop them from doing it again?
Surely it cannot be that simple. After all, he escaped with your children when he could have abandoned them. Surely that must mean some part of him cares for you, just as some part of you still cares for him.
You know nothing of me.
On the contrary, Master Annie, I know more about you than anyone. I've known you longer than anyone. I know that you do not truly wish him dead.
Find him.
R2 beeps excitedly, immediately linking into the terminal. The little droid has been collecting data for years, narrowing down his search and studying places he was spotted. He eventually finds his location, Tatooine. A message is soon sent, inviting him to speak. Soon enough, a battered old ship appears, and a figure in a dark cloak emerges. R2-D2 and C-3PO move to greet him, while HK-47 lurks in the shadows, ready to strike. Anakin finally steps out to meet him.
Anakin. Kenobi.
For a long moment, neither moves. The silence between them is thick as they glare at each other.
It took me a long time to believe you were truly alive. I hardly recognize you.
I am what you made me.
You had a hand in making it yourself, but I admit I played a role, and I have carried that weight ever since. I see you resist the Empire.
It's all I have.
Do you truly believe that?
Answer me. What is there left for me? I have no wife, no friends, barely a body. Vengeance against the Empire is all I have.
That is why I dared not approach you. You've lost yourself in the dark side. I feared what you would do.
So is that it? Do you just decide to walk away now?
I didn't say that. Like it or not, the Chancellor is a great threat, and I will work for you. But just know this. There are things in this galaxy for you. All you need to do is let go of your hatred.
Soon enough, a plan is formulated. Obi-Wan remains in contact with Bail Organa and sends the information about the Death Star. With this information, the rebels are given a surge of support that allows them to momentarily push them back. Entire sectors become contested as the rebels launch an all-out offensive. Meanwhile, a discreet message is sent to Palpatine, telling him to meet on Mustafar to settle things once and for all. Their response comes soon enough, as the two stand ready in the center of the former CIS command center, the same place where Anakin Skywalker once slaughtered the Separatist Council. Above the planet, a lone light cruiser appears, depositing Palpatine below while Anakin's own droids watch curiously. They report as a shuttle lands and a single figure disembarks, Palpatine. As he makes his way below, he chuckles at the sight of his former apprentice.
My wayward apprentice has returned home, and with his old master, no less. Tell me, Skywalker, have you come to beg for my mercy?
No, I've come to end you.
Oh, my boy, such arrogance. Did you truly believe I did not foresee this? Not after the trouble you've caused me.
With a flick of his wrist, his crimson lightsaber ignites. He then comes at them, Obi-Wan barely managing to raise his lightsaber, but Anakin ignites his flamethrower and unleashes it upon him, sweeping the area in fire. Palpatine ducks under the attack and uses the Force to redirect the flames. Obi-Wan barely dodges it, but as they dissipate, Anakin swings his lightsaber down at Palpatine, who parries the attack. He then reverses and strikes at him, his cybernetic limbs straining against the Emperor's attack. Obi-Wan rushes from the side, weaving in between attacks to catch Palpatine's lightsaber and kick him back. Anakin takes the opportunity to leap from the other side, trying to drive his lightsaber down, but Palpatine holds him back with a burst of Force lightning, while Obi-Wan takes the opportunity to rush at him, sweeping his lightsaber low, though Palpatine is already moving out of the way. Snarling, Anakin chases after, but this is a trap as the Emperor springs forward and begins raining down attacks on him that puts him on the defensive. Seeing their lightsabers locked in place, Anakin slams his fist into Palpatine, stopping him in place for a moment, but then another burst of Force lightning sends that hand going numb. Laughing, Palpatine shoves him back just in time to block Obi-Wan's strike. He sees Anakin struggling and urges him to attack. Growling, Anakin feels his anger surging through him, visions of Mustafar, of Padme, of everything that was taken from him. Suddenly, he joins Obi-Wan's side and rains down attacks on him, the movements powerful but erratic.
Yes, give in to your anger. There are things in this galaxy for you, Anakin. All you need to do is let go of your hatred.
Anakin raises his remaining arm and shouts for Obi-Wan to get down. An electronet springs out and wraps against Palpatine. The Chancellor screams just as he's pinned against the wall. Without another word, the pair drive their lightsabers across his chest, just as the station shakes.
Statement. Me and my droids have successfully captured the wrinkled meatbag's cruiser and are turning its weapons on the station as we speak. Recommendation. Evacuate immediately.
The two share a nod and run off, leaving the burning station behind them. With the death of the Emperor and the exposure of their Death Star, the Empire loses much of its credibility. Anakin is invited to join the rebellion in putting it down, but he declines, in favor of continuing his rule over his Order of Fallen Crusaders. However, Obi-Wan promises to visit him, and soon comes back with a pair of children. His children. For the first time in many years, there is laughter in the halls of Anakin's factory. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.